I was home alone one summer night, enjoying the peace and quiet. My family was on vacation, and I had the house to myself. Around midnight, I was getting ready for bed when I heard a faint voice coming from the attic. At first, I thought it was just the wind or the house settling, but the voice grew louder, more distinct. It sounded like a child whispering my name. My heart started racing, and I told myself it was just my imagination. I decided to investigate, grabbing a flashlight and heading up to the attic. The voice grew louder as I climbed the stairs, and by the time I reached the top, it was almost deafening. I opened the attic door and stepped inside, my flashlight cutting through the darkness. The attic was filled with old boxes and furniture, covered in a thick layer of dust. The voice was coming from the far corner, where an old rocking chair sat. I approached it slowly, my flashlight trembling in my hand. As I got closer, I realized the chair was moving, rocking back and forth, as if someone was sitting in it. Suddenly, the voice stopped, and the room fell silent. I stared at the chair, and that's when I saw it. A shadowy figure sitting in it, staring right at me. It was a child, but its face was pale and twisted, with hollow eyes that seemed to stare right through me. I stumbled back, dropping the flashlight, and the room plunged into darkness. I don't remember how I got out of the attic, but I spent the rest of the night locked in my room, too terrified to move. The next morning, I told my parents what had happened. They didn't believe me at first, but when they went up to the attic, they found the rocking chair still moving, even though there was no one there. I never went back to the attic after that. But sometimes, when I'm alone in the house, I still hear that voice, whispering my name. I was home alone one night, enjoying some much-needed peace and quiet. My roommates were out of town, and I had the house to myself. Around midnight, I was brushing my teeth in the bathroom when I noticed something strange in the mirror. At first, it was just a flicker, like a shadow passing behind me. I turned around, but there was no one there. I shrugged it off and went back to brushing my teeth, but the flicker happened again. This time, it was clearer. A figure standing behind me, its face pale and twisted. I spun around, my heart pounding, but the bathroom was empty. I looked back at the mirror, and the figure was still there, staring right at me. It was a woman, but her face was distorted, almost blurry, like she wasn't entirely there. I stumbled back, dropping my toothbrush, and the figure disappeared. I tried to convince myself it was just my imagination, but I couldn't shake the feeling that something was wrong. The next morning, I noticed something strange on the mirror. A handprint, but it wasn't on the outside. It was on the inside, as if someone had been standing in the bathroom, pressing their hand against the glass. I never found out who or what that figure was, but I still can't look in that mirror at night without feeling a chill run down my spine. It was a cold, stormy night, and I was house-sitting for my aunt while she was on vacation. Her house. It wasn't just any house. It was an old Victorian-style home, the kind with creaky floors, drafty windows, and walls that seemed to whisper when the wind blew. I'd always thought it was charming, you know? Quaint, even. But that night, it felt different. Like the house itself was alive, and it was watching me. I was sitting in the living room, trying to read a book, to distract myself from the eerie silence. But then, I heard it. A faint whisper. At first, I thought it was just the wind, or maybe the old pipes groaning. But the whispers grew louder, more distinct. It sounded like someone was having a conversation. But I couldn't make out the words. My heart started pounding, and I told myself it was just my imagination. Just the house settling. Just the wind. But deep down, I knew it wasn't. I couldn't ignore it. I had to know where it was coming from. So, I grabbed a flashlight and followed the sound. The whispers led me to the basement door. It was slightly ajar, which was strange because my aunt had always warned me never to go down there. She said the basement was unsafe, that the stairs were unstable. But the whispers, they were coming from down there. And I had to know. I pushed the door open and stepped onto the stairs. Each step creaked under my weight, and the air grew colder the further I descended. The whispers grew louder, more urgent. My flashlight flickered, and for a moment I thought it might go out. But it didn't. Not yet. The basement was damp and dark, with a single flickering bulb hanging from the ceiling. The whispers were coming from the far corner, where an old dusty mirror stood. It was tall, with a cracked frame and a surface that looked like it hadn't been cleaned in decades. I approached it slowly, my flashlight trembling in my hand. The whispers were so loud now, like they were right in my ear, but they weren't coming from behind me. They were coming from the mirror. I stopped in front of it, my breath visible in the cold air. And then, the whispers stopped. The room fell silent, too silent. I stared into the mirror, and that's when I saw it. A face staring back at me that wasn't my own. It was pale, with hollow eyes and a twisted smile. It looked wrong, like it wasn't human. I stumbled back, dropping the flashlight, and the room plunged into darkness. I don't remember how I got out of the basement. I don't remember running up the stairs or slamming the door shut. All I remember is locking myself in my room and sitting there, shaking, until the sun came up. The next morning I told my aunt what had happened. She went pale, her hands trembling as she poured herself a cup of coffee. And then she told me the truth. The house had a dark history. Decades ago, a previous owner had gone mad. He claimed the walls were whispering to him, driving him insane. One night, he was found dead in the basement, staring into that same mirror. My aunt had never told me because she didn't want to scare me. But now I understood why she always warned me to stay away from the basement. I never went back to that house. But sometimes, when I'm alone in the dark, I still hear those whispers. And I can't help but wonder, is the mirror still waiting for me? So guys, these stories, they stay with you. The whispers in the walls, the voice in the attic, the figure in the mirror. They remind us that some mysteries are better left unsolved. So, the next time you're alone in the dark, ask yourself, what's watching you from the other side?